Oh, I've got him. I've got him. Here we go. Here he comes, I think. Share this to as many friends as you can. If you push the little aeroplane, you can bring people on. We did
Oh,
it.
can I just say thank you? Thank you for your patience.
We did
Thank,
it.
thank you very much. G'day, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm feeling slightly nervous, so please bear with me because I'm going to have a sip of my kombucha because the technical issue with me being stuck in the 1980s, I think played a part tonight.
That's all right. Have a drink, and I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Well, g'day everyone. My name's Charles Mackenzie, and I'm the founder of a charity that has a particularly troublesome name, which is actually Infected Blood Australia. But it has to have that name because it's about a really terrible past. And that past has to do with, it's actually Australia's deadliest ever public health scandal. And you've probably not ever heard of it. And it's to do with contaminated blood. Our blood supply in Australia was contaminated basically right up until the year 2000, really. And we're talking about not a small contamination, we're talking about tens of thousands of people. You know, we still don't know how many people today were infected with viruses from our blood supply. We're talking about people like accident victims. We're talking
Yep.
about women in particular, by the way, who were given blood during childbirth. We've had literally thousands of women like that they used to be given blood routinely, even when they didn't really need the blood. Stupidly, some doctors would give it to speed up their recovery and so on. This is in the sort of 70s and the 80s and 90s. And,
Yep.
and so that they were affected. We've had cancer patients, but also, this is where we lead into the COVID-19 vaccine,
Yep.
also Australia's population of haemophiliacs. Now, for all of you people listening out there, haemophilia is a clotting disorder that is quite rare, but it's a blood clotting disorder that means that people who have it have problems with internal bleeds. And to correct that, they receive blood products. And some of those blood products might be things like factor 8 and factor 9. And
Yep.
these blood products were produced in Australia by CSL. And
Yeah. So CSL for the people at home. So obviously it's come up in the news this week. What was the lady's name that mentioned it? I can never remember her name.
It's funny. Just before I came on, I thought I've got to rush to find out her name. It was Jane Halton. What was
Jane,
it? Halton,
Jane
right? And
Horton. So there's a lady named Jane Horton. If you guys want to
yes,
look her up, because our guys are really good researchers, look up Jane Horton.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So Jane
and
Horton today came on the news and mentioned CSL. And she said, CSL, everyone should know that as a household name. But a lot of people don't. So I'll let you tell them who they are.
okay. So forgive me, everyone, for not knowing the lady's name, but a lot's happening at the moment. So a lot of names being thrown out there. But yes, this lady was on 7:30 Report the other night, and this is what's really enraged my group and why we're fighting back now, and why we want to share with you tonight how you can avoid the coming mandatory COVID-19 vaccine. I've got the way for you to do it tonight, and I will be sharing that with you tonight if you just bear with me a moment. So the lady
Yep.
on 7 said that, what a wonderful company CSL are. We're so lucky to have them. And big smile, she lit up in such a rehearsed promotion. And she said that Australians, every Australian knows about CSL. Well, I don't think they do.
No.
CSL has the largest ever company. Okay, and they are the world's largest blood plasma company. They sell human blood plasma. That's what they
Yep.
do. And let me tell you something, for everyone that's out there, if they're going to be the manufacturer of a COVID-19 vaccination, it'll be over my dead body and the dead bodies of the remaining haemophiliacs that are left alive in this country. And I'll tell you why. CSL, there were something like 2,000, maybe 2,500 haemophiliacs in the country, okay,
Yep.
in the 80s and 1990s. CSL infected 1,750 of them with HIV/AIDS and hepatitis C, and many of them were great and very dear friends of mine. I'm talking to you tonight because I'm here to get justice for them. And
Yep.
so I'm here to do one thing that I promised, and we all promised each other, And what that was to warn everybody else about this company, CSL. Do you know what's happening tonight? What we're doing tonight, this is the first time that's ever happened in our history. We're talking about our biggest company. And mate, you've got an instinct about you, I can tell you that much, because no offense to the mainstream media, there's some very good people in it. But I tell you what, for whatever reason, their instincts are off, because you've knocked on it. This CSL, they're dodgy as, and I'll tell you why. So they gave 1,750 of these Australians with haemophilia. By the way, did you know that basically the majority of them were children? Yeah, they were children. And so parents were thinking they're giving a treatment. This treatment, by the way, this was this factor 8 and factor 9 products, these injections. It's actually a treatment. It's not like they don't need it for life-saving things very often. It's for basically to stop unsightly bruising and maybe some discomfort in their joints. And so they're told about this new wonderful product. Come in, roll up, roll up. CSL's got this great new product that was introduced in 1978. Come on, mum and dad, have children. Everything's fine now. Come on, have families, nothing to worry about. Come and get this product. And they, from the moment they introduced this product in 1978, CSL knew that this product was transmitting viruses to children. And they knew that it was transmitting viruses that were actually harming those children. And throughout the 80s, in their own documents, which we've seen,
You've seen
you
them?
can clearly see that. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And not only, you bet. And I never mention anything in relation to this, because I know that they could be watching tonight, but we're here to tell the truth to Australians. Anything that we say will back up, and I'll share with you, by the way. I'd like to share some things after this program. But basically, they knew that this product was infecting children. They knew in the 1980s that it infected children. They saw it in their own documents, and they said, well, they knew that there were ways to deactivate the viruses in the product. But they said, well, no, because the processes to deactivate these viruses would have meant a drop in yield and therefore an increase in cost. Now, this is weird, because CSL government at the time, why were they thinking like this? Well, we don't know why, but they were. And so, importantly, children were infected. And as a result, our group has lost 1,400 of our friends.
1,400 people have passed away.
Had someone calling me, an old friend, sorry. I just said no for now, because we're on to a very important point. Sorry, audience, but yeah, 1,400 mates of mine and haemophiliacs. And let me tell you, these are people that are very active people. They were children. Yes, they're no longer with us, but people that were starting out in life, hoping for they just had a disorder. They didn't have to have this product. They were told it was fantastic. They got it, and they ended up with AIDS and Hep C. And now we've got the so out of 1,750 that were infected, we've got less than 200 alive. And of the 200, their mates of mine, we've all got cancer throughout the group. Cancer in the liver, cancer in the bowels. We're in a tough way. But we say this before we go out, before we die. I'll tell you, we're going to do something fantastic. See that sword up there? That's my great-grandfather. He was over at Gallipoli with the Australian Navy. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something for Australians. This CSL, as long as we live, will never be any manufacturer of any compulsory vaccination for Australians. And I'll share all the evidence. And if anyone ever says to you that you're going to have to have this vaccine, just say to them this. What did you do to haemophiliacs? Why is there an inquiry in the United Kingdom that's asking questions about your company? Why is there evidence that may be linked in Europe that your products caused haemophiliacs to have liver cancer and liver transplants? Why is there evidence that you took blood from prisoners? Oh, and another one for you. One other thing for you. If anyone says you must have this vaccination, I'd like to reveal something for you tonight. Why did CSL tell us and tell haemophiliacs and tell parents of these haemophiliac children that the blood products they were receiving were from voluntary Australian donors? They made us think that this was blood that was given freely by our brothers and sisters here in Australia to help us each other out for free, right? What they didn't tell those parents of those children with haemophilia was that they had mixed in blood that they had acquired from Southeast Asia, from countries in Southeast Asia where they themselves knew that things like hepatitis C, which is deadly, and is the leading cause of liver transplantation today, and wiped out 1,400 haemophiliacs in this country, and they mixed it into our bloody blood supply. And it's been hidden for decades. These bastards did that. Oh, yeah. And you can see I gave that evidence to a Senate committee in 2004 called the Senate Committee into Hepatitis C in the Australian blood supply, and they did nothing about it. And the evidence is there because they did nothing about it because CSL, you know, if they did anything about it, the whole attitude has been from the bureaucracy, it'll affect their share price. And you saw that lady the other night on 7:30 report. What a wonderful company CSL are. Well, they're not. We're living evidence that they're not. You know, for example, my donor, I've got hepatitis C. Do you know that?
Yeah.
I've been with this virus for 32 years. And as you know, it's felt like being a chicken in the Steggles farm waiting to get my head lopped off as I watch all the others, you know, and we didn't know which one's going to live. I saw brave men who were the fittest men who did everything they could to stay alive, and meanwhile I was eating junk food because I didn't know how to handle the mental side of things. So I basically made a fool of myself, you know, when I was younger, because this happened to me when I was a kid, by the way. I took a blood product too. And and I went and found out that my donor was a known drug user, and that when they found out that my donor was infected with Hep C, they didn't tell me. So they didn't tell any of the previous recipients of the blood product of his blood transfusions. Instead, do you know what they did? They took my donor and they got him to donate blood to make products for haemophiliacs. And when I found that out, because my mates are haemophiliacs in the group, and I've had mates that died. When I found that out, I went ballistic, and I made a police complaint. Well, of course, police complaint. They never told me anything. They went in. I think they in the media it came out that they assured the Red Cross that they wouldn't investigate. Well, they never told me, but they told the Red Cross. I mean, fancy that. The Red Cross, by the way, supply the blood for CSL to make blood products, which are products that used to be used by haemophiliacs and by regular patients, burns patients, immunoglobulins, and guess what? Vaccines. And so now we get to this. Yeah, so here we are, I've taken up your time. Thank you very much for those of you who've been listening. Thank you, because this is the first time.
It's amazing. Everyone's giving you so much love.
Well, we've never had this chance. So it's like you're talking to someone we've been trapped in this. We've been waiting we're the elephant in Australia's room. Mate, I'll put haemophilia. So you'll hear from people. You won't believe it, what you hear. You will not believe it, I promise you. We've got experiments on kids. You know, this CSL were experimenting on children in the late 50s in Melbourne. Oh, yes, they were. I will present that article. It was in the Melbourne Age, a paper that you've got down there. And that was the quadruple antigen vaccine. I met some of those victims. Those things were contaminated. They put it into orphans. And now they're going to do mandatory vaccinations? Not on our watch.
Not a chance. No way.
No way. And you know what? What everyone could do right now, I've got a way to stop them right now. And it's sort of like a thing that helps both of us, all of us, is that on infectedbloodaustralia.com, on the front page.
Put it in here. Infectedbloodaustralia.com?
That's right. Infectedbloodaustralia.com.
I'll just be one sec.
Okay, and I'll have a sip of my kombucha to rest. I'm a teetotaler.
Have a sip.
Because of hepatitis C. Otherwise, I might have a beer or something on a Friday night.
That's all right. They're trying to censor us, so it's breaking up. But everything's going through. We can hear you loud and clear, so it's very good.
Okay, well, I hope they don't censor us because I'm not doing anything that needs to be censored. We're talking about Australia's worst ever. Yeah, we're talking about, 1,400 of my mates. We're talking also about thousands of blood transfusion victims, women who got it through childbirth. Do you know they're still out there today? They're friends of mine. Do you know they've lost their jobs? They've lost their husbands. We've got women who everything, and it's all, we can't talk about it because of CSL, because that might upset the narrative. Well, CSL want to produce a vaccine that's going to be compulsory, and what we're saying is not without you answering about your past products. Not without you answering questions. So if they can go to my website and support the form to support the Royal Commission into the blood supply and CSL. Now, if they do that, let me tell you, we're close, we believe, to be able to force one. We're involved in the UK's largest ever inquiry, which is the Infected Blood Inquiry. That's into the blood scandal and into these products made by companies like CSL. And we believe there should be an inquiry here because we've had 1,400 Australians killed by CSL. We want a legal inquiry. Why not? And so we believe when we get, no way that CSL ever, or any COVID-19 vaccine will ever be mandatory if we have that Royal Commission, because you will see that children with haemophilia were infected en masse knowingly. That's what you're going to see. Not an accident. They've told us, oh, when you do hear about it, look it up. You'll never see anywhere that talks about the haemophilia genocide that took place here in Australia. Genocide's a strong word, by the way, but it's the right word. Population of 2,200. Of course it is, right? So anyway, so basically they've gotten away with blue murder, right? Yeah. And what we're going to do is say, okay, what went wrong? What's happened? Why won't they speak about it? And why haven't they helped the survivors, hey? This CSL company, you know, they sought legal indemnity, get out of free jail cards, basically, in the early 90s before they warned haemophiliacs about the mass hepatitis C contamination of their products. 90% of Australia's haemophilia population was infected with hep C from CSL products, 90%. And we want them making this COVID-19 vaccine? No thanks. No way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so please, if you can support the Royal Commission, mate, when people see what this CSL company have done, there's no way that there will be any mandatory vaccination. So please go to our website, Infected Blood Australia.
We'll get everyone onto your website tonight. We're going to share it into our Facebook group, which has 90,000 people on it as well.
Thank you so much. Look, that's why it's so great to come on tonight, to be able to have your audience share this terrible thing with us for the first time. But we get to tell about what happened to us, but at the same time, we get to help your audience who might be concerned about, you know, the likelihood of a mandatory vaccine. I'll just tell you this: the likelihood of a CSL vaccine ended tonight with this topic tonight, and with the evidence that with all of us together, it's not going to happen. And I want to share this to you, by the way, everyone. You won't be able to see it on. Here I have a Red Cross letter. Now remember that the Red Cross collect blood for CSL. Okay, and in fact, CSL call the Red Cross, the Australian Red Cross Blood Service, they call them the shop front. Okay, a franchise. Okay, basically it's there because you wouldn't donate to CSL. They'd say, oh no, who are they? They're a greedy pharmaceutical, or, you know, but the humanitarians, you will. Anyway, it goes to say, oh no, who are they? They're a greedy pharmaceutical, or, you know, but the humanitarians, you will. Anyway, it goes to CSL. Right? So in 1990, the Australian Red Cross said, hey everyone, we're screening the blood supply for hepatitis C. Aren't we fantastic? We're only the second country in the world to do so. Aren't we wonderful? Well, one of our mates who we're still looking for, a guy called Michael Pollack, I'm allowed to use his name because he wanted to make it public. He's been missing for many years. I'm desperate to find him. He was a motorcycle victim. He was in a motorcycle accident, and he lost his leg. So he was given blood, and that blood helped him survive. So years later, he decides one lunchtime, working at the tax office, that he will give back. What a lovely and wonderful thing to do. And I do encourage anyone that wants to donate blood to donate blood. You're heroes. So Michael, donate blood, right? And he gives the blood, but then sometime later, he's given a letter in the post. And I'm going to share this with your viewers after this, because you'll be blown away when you see this, blown away, okay?
Yep.
The letter tells him, fancy this guy with a family, young family, that he's got hepatitis C. And guess what? He got the hepatitis C from the blood transfusions that he got when he lost his leg. Now, he's in shock. My life's got a young family, you know, what the hell? And they said, but don't worry, we're going to keep taking your blood. So keep on coming back and donating the blood. We won't use it for regular patients, but we're going to use it in a process called plasma fractionation. Now, plasma fractionation, this is 1990. Plasma fractionation is the process that makes medicines for haemophiliacs. So there you go, 90% of Australia's haemophilia population. So do you know what this guy did, this Michael guy did? They took his blood a few times, and then eventually one day he said, no, I don't believe you anymore. And I've got video I could share with you where he gave his statements to Channel 7 Today Tonight 18 years ago. And he said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. And they said, no, it's safe. Please come back. And they said, no. And then he found out internationally that that was the worst thing in the world that you could do. And it led to people dying, killed people. So he was worried he'd killed because these products, they mass produce them. He could have killed hundreds. He would know. So there we go. So let me tell you something. That's what I want to share with people, that they knowingly collected blood from infectious people. Okay.
Yeah.
It sent it to CSL, and the CSL will tell you, oh, but we made it safe. We made it safe. When did you hear about what happened to these haemophiliacs? Is this the first time? And also, I encourage anyone, any viewer out there right now, if you're a researcher, have a look at lists of the worst Australian public health disasters, okay? Have a look at the list of the worst medical failures. Now, we'll probably see some ones that we've heard of, some big ones, and there'll be some serious ones. But there'll be one that you won't see, and that won't be the haemophilia scandal, because CSL...
I couldn't find it. And I'm a researcher, and I could not find it at all.
CSL, they guess what? They used to be government owned, and they infected all of our haemophilia population when government owned. And then basically they thought, well, you know what? I suspect they went and sought indemnities from the government in the early 90s, and incredibly, they were given them before any haemophiliac or haemophilia family is warned about the hepatitis C in these blood products, factor VIII, in the early 90s, that they were warned that they could have been exposed. This company gets a legal get out of jail card for it. So the government says, don't worry, you'll never have to pay a cent. And then they floated on the stock exchange, and the same people that were managing CSL and haemophilia and presiding over an organisation that had infected Australia's haemophilia population en masse now get to be part of this private company with shares that get given to them, and they rich overnight. And now that company and haemophiliacs can't sue. So these guys have been living on like $400. They're the survivors, mate. When this comes out, you wait. That's why I've got a beautiful friend in Melbourne who's resurrected me, man. I was literally buried. I've had this virus for 32 years. I was screwed. This guy, he got me onto natural health. He's built me up. And he's the one that said, we've got to get on here tonight to tell our story. And my mates will help tell the story too. These guys have made $140 billion. This company is through the roof. Would it be if people had known what they did to so many children knowingly with haemophilia?
I can make you a promise, Charles. Every bit of my strength, everything that I can do is going to get this story out to as many people as possible. As well as that, we're going to share your website and get everyone to sign up, as well as talk to our legal person who's working on this for us. And I'll see if Serene will take you on board as well. And we'll push back as hard as we possibly can right now.
Well, can I just tell you, I did a few interviews 20 years ago, and they were mainstream before this thing got buried and covered up. And that was basically, we got buried and covered up with it. You know, they basically said we've got a wonderful blood supply, everything was perfect, and they covered up everything that we said. Now it's being exposed in the UK. We're golden now. Everyone realises in the UK, we've got friends. Factor VIII, Factor VIII campaign in the UK, wonderful, run by an incredible guy called Jason Evans, another guy called Anthony Ferrugia, another wonderful woman called Michelle Tolley over there in the UK. There's so many other people too. They know what's happening down here. They all, mainstream media is covering this in the UK. The contaminated blood scandal, the haemophilia treatment scandal in the UK is massive. Do you know they're experimenting on haemophilia kids in the UK? And they know about it. What they do is they give some kids one product to see how infectious it was, and another kid's a different product to see if that was a different type of infection. They also said that they would like to experiment on the kids because they were cheaper than chimpanzees. This is in 1982 in the United Kingdom. So God knows what's happened here with CSL. We know that they're experimenting. God knows. That's why we need a Royal Commission. If you please sign that form that Matt...
People are signing it already. We've already got people saying they've already signed it. I will cut this. I'll cut it a little bit short, only because it'll get shared more if we don't go too long.
Okay.
I'll get you back on again. Once we get some signatures and we get this out, we'll get it out to hundreds of thousands of people. This story is going to be told everywhere.
Well, I was going to say, I did mainstream media interviews 20 years ago, Matt, but I tell you what, this has been the best interview of all of them. You know why? It's the first time I've been allowed to tell the full truth without being told, you know, cut off or shut up. And you know what? You've got empathy, mate. You can see it in you. And you've got my respect, and you'll have it forever now, because this is the best interview we've ever had. Thank you, sir.
Now, Charles, the whole nation, the whole nation's going to be with you 100%.
All right, mate. I think we're going. I might have to say goodbye. Goodbye, mate. Thank you.
I'll do one more attempt. Now I can't even click on the image.